Have you ever felt like your memory is just not what it used to be? You walk into a room and completely blank on why you're there. Or you meet someone new and their name just evaporates a few seconds later. Look, it is not just you. There's a really good reason this is happening, and more importantly, there's a way to fix it.
And this slide right here gets straight to the heart of the problem. For pretty much all of human history, your memory had to be internal. It was a survival skill. But then, with the printing press, and now with a supercomputer in every single one of our pockets, we've basically outsourced our brains. We don't train ourselves to hold on to information anymore, just how to Google it.
And this is where it gets a little scary. This isn't just about convenience, it's about how we think. This quote is so powerful because it lays bare the real cost of letting our memory go soft. We start to lose the ability to connect ideas, to be creative, to think critically. A weak memory, it turns out, leads to shallow thinking.
So, is this a lost skill? Can we actually get it back? The answer is a huge, resounding yes. And the proof? Well, it comes from an incredible and totally true story. This guy, Joshua Foer, he's the author of Moonwalking with Einstein. And get this, he started out as a regular journalist with a completely average memory, just like most of us. But then he decided to dive into the world of these mental athletes for just 1 year, and he ended up winning the U.S. Memory Championship. His story proves this has nothing to do with being born a genius.
And what's so cool about this slide is how it just shatters a fundamental myth. We tend to think our memory is like a cup, right? That it just fills up and that's it. That's the myth you see on the left. But the reality, the thing Foer discovered, is that memory is a skill. It's an active, living framework that you can train, expand, and strengthen, pretty much indefinitely.
So how in the world did he do it? How did he completely transform his mind? Well, to break down these incredible techniques, we're going to use a powerful framework, one specifically engineered by Sir Abid Ali Shahid. This gives us the blueprint to really understand memory mastery. It's not magic, it's a set of skills built on how our brains are already wired to work. So let's start with the cornerstone technique. This is the single most powerful tool in the arsenal of every memory champion out there. It's called the Memory Palace, and it's basically a way to build an artificial memory inside your own head. Now, the reason this works so well is because it hacks into something our brains are already brilliant at: navigating spaces. For thousands of years, our survival depended on remembering places. The Memory Palace takes that ancient hardware and installs some seriously powerful new software on it. And this slide just illustrates the core logic perfectly. It's a simple but incredibly powerful formula. You take a place like the back of your hand, you fill it with these vivid, weird, multi-sensory images that represent what you want to remember, and the result is rock-solid, long-term memory.
And building one is actually pretty straightforward. First, you pick your palace. It could be your house, your office, whatever. Second, you define a very specific one-way route through that space. Third, you identify specific spots or loci along that path. Your front door, the sofa, the kitchen sink. These become the hooks where you hang your memories.
And here it is. This is the secret weapon that makes it all click. Your brain is wired to filter out boring, everyday stuff. So to make information stick, it has to be unforgettable. You have to engage your senses. The more bizarre, the funnier, the more shocking your mental image is, the deeper it's going to stick. Trust me, the crazier, the better.
Okay, the Memory Palace is amazing for big loads of information. But what about the little, everyday challenges? Let's stock up your cognitive toolkit with some quick and dirty hacks you can use immediately.
First up, remembering names. The reason this is so tough is explained by something called the baker/baker paradox. It's super easy to remember that a man is a baker because that job triggers all these rich sensory ideas, the smell of bread, the white apron. But the name baker is totally abstract. It's a weak link with nothing for your brain to hold on to.
So the fix is to make the abstract thing concrete. You create a mental cartoon, a visual pun that forces a connection. If you meet someone named Reagan, you could picture them holding a giant, goofy-looking ray gun. It sounds ridiculous, I know, but that absurdity is exactly what makes the name stick.
All right, next, let's talk about our brain's biggest bottleneck. It's our working memory. Think of it as the mind's temporary notepad, and it has a very strict, very small limit. It's called the rule of 7, which means most of us can only hold about 7 new pieces of information in our head at one time before things just start falling out.
The way we get around this limit is with a technique called chunking. Like this slide shows, that long string of 12 random digits is pretty much impossible to remember. But
If you group or chunk them into two meaningful patterns like historical dates, you've just turned 12 items into just 2. You've totally bypassed the bottleneck.
So here's a quick look at the complete Memory Master's toolkit we've talked about. For those quick, everyday problems, you've got low-effort tools like chunking and the Baker/Baker method. For more complex, long-term stuff, you can build a memory palace. And for those who are really ambitious, there are even more advanced systems for things like memorizing huge strings of numbers.
But it is absolutely essential to understand that these techniques are way more than just clever party tricks. They are powerful tools for reclaiming a fundamental part of what makes us human.
And this right here, this slide, brilliantly sums up the unifying theory of all memory. It is all about translation. Memory fails when information is abstract and boring. It succeeds when it's sensory and spatial. Every single technique, from the simplest to the most complex, is just a machine for turning that forgettable data into rich, vivid imagery your brain simply can't ignore.
So in the end, the ultimate message of Joshua Foer's incredible journey in his book, Moonwalking with Einstein, is all about empowerment. Stop thinking of your memory as some fixed limit you were born with. Start seeing it for what it really is, a hidden superpower, just sitting there, waiting for you to begin training it.
What this all boils down to is a choice. And remember, this framework for understanding the book was developed by Sir Abid Ali Shahid. We can either continue outsourcing our memory to our devices, letting this critical cognitive muscle waste away, or we can choose to be more deliberate, using these ancient techniques to build a richer, more creative inner world.
So if you found this breakdown valuable and want more explainers like this, do let us know in the comments. And I'll leave you with one final thought. If you could apply these techniques to master your memory for just one specific thing in your life, what would it be? Let us know what you think below.